I believe we are live. I do want to kind of keep today's live show relatively short. I want to try to get it under an hour. I got other things I want to do, and I also know that Raymond and his guys are going to be streaming starting at 5 today, and I kind of want to be listening to that while I um, continue my remodeling efforts in the basement. So, welcome once again to Media's live show. This is episode 14, I believe. We're actually going to just get right into um, the main thing I wanted to talk about, which is Donadon. I know usually I save the main thing I want to talk about to the end, but this episode was hilarious. I officially love the evil eye. I love just how gung ho he is about everything. I love his Dragon Ball Z freaking character motivation. Uh, this sort of rivalry that he's developing with Ogurun. This is a really good foundation for a face turn, and well, we see this, in a lot of other shonen shows as well, where like a rivalry is the instigator of a face turn. We see it. Dragon Ball is kind of the best example of this because Dragon Ball does it like 17 freaking times. It did it with Krillin, then it did it with Tien, then it did it with Piccolo. Most famously did it with Vegeta, but also like Frieza in Super, as well as Hit in Super. You can even throw in like a Broly in there now with the Super manga. The androids, they didn't really have as intense of a rivalry with Goku and the Z Warriors, but they did go through a face turn through battle and hardship. But yeah, pretty much everyone from Krillin to Vegeta had like a really interesting face turn that was uh, brought about by their rivalry with Goku. Yeah, I keep bringing up Krillin because when Krillin was first introduced in OG Dragon Ball, he was a classmate of Goku's under Master Roshi, but he was a douche. Nowhere near to the degree of a Piccolo or a Vegeta or even a Tien, but it was still there. Um, it I've been questioning like how much of the Evil Eyes flashback is even real, and how much of it was just a lie to go GG into giving up his body. This convinced me that GG is in the right. That Evil Eye really does just want a playmate, and he's just this sociopathic just monster who only really knows how to fight and kill, and he really just wants to find a strong opponent. Um, and the humor that they find with this sort of serious characterization is really interesting, and it made me think about some other shows. In fact, a lot of the shows I'll be talking about today kind of follow a similar formula, and finding the humor in otherwise serious shows. Everyone knows about comedic relief. Everyone knows about characters who exist only for to make the jokes happen. It is very common, and I would say even old hat, to have a dedicated comedic relief character. But it's so much more interesting when you don't really know where the joke is going to come from. Uh, and then there's also instances where the comedic relief character has something serious happen to them. Lord of the Rings comes to mind with Merry and Pippin. Merry and Pippin are the comedic relief. For the vast majority of that story, they are just joke characters, but then they come in clutch towards the end of Two Towers. They're the ones who like uh, dig their heels in, convince the Ents to go to war, take down Isengard, and then they both play like very significant roles throughout Return of the King, with Merry joining the Riders of Rohan and Pippin serving in Gondor's court and being involved in all that. And big thing with Lord of the Rings, especially the book. It doesn't come across as much in the movie, but it does in the book. Is just the expansive reach of these sort of global conflicts, these massive scale wars, and how like it doesn't leave anything untouched or uninfluenced. Like in the movies, it's suggested that the Shire basically remained unchanged, but in the books, obviously, there's the scouring of the Shire, and a whole like the whole back half of Return of the King is Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin trying to like liberate the Shire from Saruman's control. Characters are just so much more interesting when they're allowed to be funny and also allowed to be serious. Like it's not as interesting when they're just one note or have one mode all the time. Um, and that's just another thing I really appreciate about Dandadan. Every character gets their funny moments. Every character gets their serious moments. Every character has like a gag, but every character also has legitimate pathos. And that doesn't necessarily make Dandadan special, because that is like a that is almost a prerequisite to get a B rating for me. But it is something that a lot of shows fail to do. Like a lot of shows fail to even reach that bronze standard. Um, but you know what is a masterpiece at that? Because really, just gushing about how fucking hilarious the Evil Eye is the only my only real takeaway from the new Don Don episode. Um, so we're gonna actually get into the weekly roundup now. And we'll circle back to the subject of like finding humor in serious situations or serious shows, especially since another thing I gotta talk about is One Piece. The latest chapter. So there's a new chapter coming out tomorrow. I did see some leaks about it. I'm not gonna comment on that until I actually read it. But last week's chapter um, revealed that Gecko Moria's real name is Kozuki Moria. That he is in some way related to Odin and Momonosuke and Hiyori and the lineage of like these Wano samurai who hold the key to finding and reading and making the poneglyphs. Oda already proved that just because you lose to a prey time skip Luffy doesn't mean you can't be a top tier just by locking the fuck in. He proved that with Crocodile. Even like in the time between Alabasta and Marineford, Crocodile went from losing to a pre-time skip, pre-gear Luffy to like going toe to toe with Doflamingo and cutting Aki Inu in half and holding his own against these Whitebeard commanders. And now, like post time skip, he has a bounty of like 1.9 billion. He has a higher bounty than Luffy had heading into Wano, uh, which always tickled my fancy because, like, what kind of absolute freaking menace did Crocodile have to be to get a bounty that big? Because, like, Luffy had to tear down Enies Lobby in order to get 300 million. His rate on Impel Down and Marineford only tacked on another 100 million. And then his dethroning of Doflamingo only tacked on another 100 million. He only had 500 million after Dressrosa. He had to go into Yonko's territory and embarrass them and take down their heaviest hitter, Charlotte Katakuri, in order to get a bounty of 1.5 billion. How did Crocodile get a 1.9 billion? Like what kind of demon time was he on? So I would not be surprised if Gecko Moria gets the same treatment. And Oda has been building up towards Gecko Moria playing some kind of role in the final saga, with him showing up to Hachinosu during Wano. And then during the Egghead arc, we see that Perona did find him and most likely was successful in freeing him. We haven't checked back on that since then. Um, but this does add a lot of pathos to Moria and his rival with Kaido, and kind of the reveal that Gecko Moria was probably trying to liberate Wano, and really wanted Ryuma to be his champion, his zombie general, to help make that happen, as well as Oars. And we know that the ancient giants have some kind of connection to Wano because of Onigashima, and just the whole Void Century thing with ancient giants and samurai bolt, as well as the Minks having been aligned with Joy Boy, as far as we could tell. Uh, Other than that, the flashback's still going on. I do like Rockside. This flashback is a little all over the place, and it's all the information that it's revealing is good. I think even necessary information, but there's no focus like there was with Odin or with Kuma. Like the Odin flashback also had similar levels of lore explorations and history and character, but it was all focused on Odin. And just like the Kuma flashback, same thing, but all focused on Kuma and his perspective. This is supposed to be like Loki's, but also Harold's, but then there's tons of scenes with neither of them, and it's rocks, and then there's also, it cuts away to Roger every so often, and we even get to see a little bit of the world government's perspective from this time. Is like, it's just, it's going to be really hard for Oda to really tie this up in a way that is truly satisfying. Um, this will, I think this will go down as one of the weaker flashbacks in One Piece for that reason. Despite how great of a character Rocks Zebek is turning out to be, and how good the Rocks pirates are, and how much they just contrast all the other Yonko crews. The Yonko, I've been saying this for years. The Yonko are controlled opposition. The whole Yonko system was effectively created to prevent another rock situation from happening, and the various Yonko crews have very clearly like learned some kind of lesson from what happened with rocks, like enforcing the strength hierarchy for Kaido, the familial relationship with Whitebeard, the biological relationship with Big Mom, and then Shanks, not really inspired by rocks, but more so inspired by Roger, who himself was in all likelihood informed by what happened to rocks. Um, I know a lot of people are putting Roger on fraud watch, and a lot of people are calling him like a celestial dragon defender again. Uh, we don't know what all happened at God Valley. We don't know, like, we just don't know. Um, right now, it's really seeming like the whole thing was a tragedy. um, what other One Piece image do I have? Oh yeah, the anime. I didn't actually watch the anime episode. But in One Piece anime, the Gear 5 Luffy has started fighting Saturn. Vegapunk's dead. I think this week's episode was actually like a recap episode or something. And the Giant showed up. Um, so let's get into something that hasn't come out yet. I could probably actually talk about One Piece more. Um, I'm just I've only been going 15 minutes. I thought I'd been going 20. Let's talk about that JJK season 3 trailer. I'm surprised that more shonen action shows don't do arcs like the Culling games, because it's just such a good fit. I think it's even an even better fit than the omnipresent tournament arc. because tournaments have rules, but real fights don't. A lot of people are concerned about how short this release window is, and the concerns are valid. Um, Mappa did a lot, came under a lot of flack during JJK season 2 over their treatment of their animators, and uh, doesn't necessarily look like things have changed for the better heading into season 3. Uh, I man, I know a lot of people are really excited about this because a lot of people do think that this is the best arc in JJK. For a lot of people, it's a toss between the Culling Games and Shibuya. I really like Shibuya and how everything went down there. Um, I don't know as much about the Culling Games because I kind of just skimmed through that arc. Um, yeah, I read JJK's manga more just to see what happens rather than just actually like marinating in the fights and stuff. And a lot of it is fights. My biggest problem with JJK is that it doesn't have any real moments of like slowing down and exploring like character pathos and character dynamics, relationships, stuff like that actually like adds meat to the story. It's just fight, 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 and the fights, at least in the manga, aren't even all that good. Uh, the anime is a vast improvement. The anime is kind of like what I think the Demon Slayer anime tries to be like. As far as the art of adaptation goes, I was never impressed with Demon Slayer's manga, and I'm not even all that impressed with the anime anymore. I still really hate that they're splitting up the final arc into a bunch of movies and ask you to pay full price for each individual little story chunk. I think it's bullshit. Thank God JJK hasn't done anything like that, other than Chapter Zero, which isn't even all that important because Geto's not even the real villain. Uh, Even though he's, in my opinion, Geto is a bigger monster than Kinjaku. Kinjaku just wants like a new golden age of sorcery. Geto wanted it to genocide 99% of the planet. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see Yuta and Yuji interact. I'm excited to see some of these fights. Uh, and I just dig Jujutsu Kaisen's style. Um, I do know how it ends. I know it's not gonna end with season 3. We're gonna get like a season 4, maybe even a. No, I don't think there's enough material for a season 5, especially if they go like 20 episode seasons. Um, but the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen, like pretty much as soon as I caught up with Jujutsu Kaisen's manga, is when everything just started getting bad. When it completely derailed. Like the second that Gojo got written out for good is when the whole story just fell apart. Everything just started sucking from then on, leading to a very lackluster conclusion that nobody really liked. At least nobody that I've talked to likes the way that Jujutsu Kaisen panned out. Um, and that's saying something because I hated the Demon Slayer ending, and people still say that Infinity Castle is the best arc in Demon Slayer, and those people are just objectively wrong. The best arc of Demon Slayer is um, none of them, none of the arcs. Maybe the first one. I do like the Spider Family for what it is. Uh, the entertainment district wasn't awful. But everything after that was. Swordsman Village sucked. Even in the especially in the manga. Um, and then it took some serious balls on a Studio Ufotable's part to make a filler arc in an anime adaptation of a manga that had been over for many years. But gotta make those movies. Gotta make people pay more for less. Pay more money for less story. Fucking hate that. By the way, I'm not gonna watch the Infinity Castle stuff for that reason. I'm not gonna ever watch it. I'm not gonna like do any kind of review of it on the live show. It's just gonna come and go, in and out. Um, but even with man, I just don't have a whole lot to talk about this week. Sorry, I did not have as much time to prepare as I would have liked. It's been a crazy schedule for me. The past week or two. I did catch back up with Rascal Does Not Dream. I do have some thoughts on this. I might actually have enough thoughts to go longer than I did with Dandadan or One Piece. Um, this arc is very frustrating. It's the Rascal Does Not Dream of a Student arc. Uh, what the fuck are you doing, Sakata? What are you doing? Why? Why are you doing this? This is the first time that I've ever been like seriously disappointed in Sakata as a character, and um, whew. So I said a few weeks ago that one of my problems with Rascal is that everyone that Sakata helps with their puberty syndrome just so happens to be a girl. A very beautiful woman at that, a cute girl in this case. Um, and it does lend credence to this criticism that it is the power fantasy. Um, like almost like a harem bait, like an Sao style harem bait, because all these girls are all falling in love with Sakata, but Sakata only has eyes for Mai. Um, but he's super. He's supposed to be like super worried about Mai because it's Christmas Eve and Christmas coming up, and that the Rascal Does Not Dream of a Dreaming Girl movie showed that's just a rough time for him because that was when Mai died in one of the other timelines. Uh, so he's supposed to be super worried about that. She's trying to spoil him with this hotel room that they're gonna spend the whole weekend in. But then he has a dream about like going on a date with his student, which is gross. I get that there's only like a 3 year difference, but there's a massive different power dynamic. It's actually creepy on her part because apparently this happens all the time with her. And like her puberty syndrome is very clearly something to do with like making people fall in love with her. And Sakata is just falling into a hook, line, and sinker, and it's very upsetting. I don't know why. I don't know why it is going this way. I don't know why the story is moving in this direction. Um, I can't wait for this arc to be over. Um, thankfully, none of the arcs last more than like 3 episodes, so by this time next week, it'll be resolved. But it's just it's all over the place. Again, like kind of a lack of focus, and Sakata's just he's not doing the smart thing. He's not challenging this. He's just rolling with the punches and letting this kid walk all over him. Uh, yeah, I think I even said that like two weeks ago when I read all the titles for all the Rascal light novels, and I was like, Rascal does not dream of a student. Nope, don't like that. Don't like the implications there, and I don't like that this is apparently a thing that just happens. And then when he does try, to his credit, like to weasel his way out by using Futaba. Which, by the way, Sakura and Futaba have like one of the best platonic relationships in all of anime, as far as like boy girl friendships go, because they are so like ride or die for each other. They got each other's backs, but there's zero romantic chemistry with them. I love it. Uh, and when Sakura tries like passing her off to Futaba, and she's freaks out like, "I only want you, Sakura Sensei." And she gets like super pissed, and Futaba's just standing there like, this is bad. I'm glad Futaba was there to see it, because now Futaba can be witness that like this girl is crazy. And Sakata should be careful about that. And it does make me kind of understand Sakata's motivations maybe a little bit more than I did at the beginning of the episode, because like he's saying that he's doing this to protect Mai, and yeah, if this girl ends up being creepy stalker with puberty syndrome that makes people fall in love with her, poison ivy style, then like yeah, maybe he is in the right to like placate her, until he's able to like uh play uh anime therapist with her. I guess I don't know. Just this feels a little out of Sakata's weight class, and again, like, would it kill the show to have a guy go through puberty syndrome? Like even like with Sakura, who technically went through puberty syndrome, he actually the whole one of the big twists in Rascal Does Not Dream of a Dreaming Girl is that he didn't really go through puberty syndrome. He was just experiencing symptoms because of um, Shoko's puberty syndrome. Shoko's like time travel puberty syndrome was like affecting him, because she only lived to go back in time because he died and his heart was used as a transplant. This is a whole thing. Rascal Does Not Dream of a Dreaming Girl is weird and kind of batshit and doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Um, but the multiple timelines things, time travel in general, is just a can of worms that I, as a writer, will never open. I do not want to ever use time travel in my stories, because there's just too many messy worm cans to deal with anytime you bring time travel into a story. Unless you're doing the forward skipping time travel, that's fine. That's not only fine, that is actually within the realm of possibility within physics and stuff. Like, we've already hypothesized that, like, oh, if you approach the speed of light, you can actually skip forward in time, because of the theory of relativity, special relativity, and stuff. Uh, will allow time to like pass faster for you, uh, allowing you to effectively jump forward. Like that's all within the realm of possibility, but there's some kind of like law of physics or something that prevents like backwards time travel, and that the backwards time travel is what causes all the issues. Except for in Terminator Genesis, where they decide to use a time machine to jump forward in time instead of just waiting it out and using all that time to prepare. They just decide to like, oh, it's gonna happen this day. We need to skip forward to this day without a plan or any equipment or any help or anything like that. We just gotta wing it, because that movie's fucking retarded. There's only two genuinely good Terminator movies. The first one and the second one. I am of the opinion that the second one is a better movie, but the first one is more special. Uh, so I do have one other show to talk about that I haven't gotten to yet. I'm just kind of checking my Twitter. See if there's any other topics I want to talk about. I was planning to go for an hour, but we're probably gonna go more like 40 minutes. It actually works for me because, like I said, I wanted this to be a short show anyway. Because I got basement remodeling stuff to get to. So let's jump into There's No Way I Will Be Your Lover Unless. This will be the final anime that we talk about. Um, it's the start of the Ajisai arc, and it escalated rather quickly. Ajisai is a cute angel who's just nice to everybody, but then she gets fed up with her brothers one time in front of her friend who she is absolutely crushing on because it is that type of show. Uh, she decides to run away from home, as you do. Uh, and Renako, being the hilarious yet earnest being that she is trying to like smooth things over. Uh, it's giving me a little bit of Seven Goodbyes vibe. The Seven Goodbyes arc from Quintessential Quintuplets. It is nowhere near as messy as Seven Goodbyes because there's only like two characters involved instead of eight. Right, five. Yeah, because you had the five girls, you had Fudoro, you had Iba, and then you had the father. Yeah, so eight principal characters in Seven Goodbyes, um, versus two and There's No Way I'll Be Your Lover Unless. We gotta come up with a better title, man. Like that title's hilarious on its own and stuff, but it makes it really difficult to talk about. I've been thinking about calling it like Moody Moody because I think Moody is like no way, and the theme song goes like Moody Moody da 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 Moody Moody da 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 da. Uh, but yeah, this was more of a sweet episode. It wasn't as funny as some of the prior episodes. Um, and I think a lot of that has to do with how, again, like it's finding where it's Dada was finding the humor in a serious situation. Uh, There's No Way I'll Be Your Lover Unless was finding the serious situation or the seriousness in a hilarious situation because uh girl runs away from home because she's upset at her brothers and is embarrassed over them. That's funny. Um Renako taking everything so seriously. Actually, that's just really Renako in a nutshell. Like Renako, I've talked about this time and time again. Feel like a broken record. Um, Renako doesn't realize that she's in a comedy because all this hilarious stuff is going on around her, and she's like taking it all seriously and is like genuinely frustrated, genuinely scared at what's gonna happen, and getting actual like anxiety attacks and stuff, which just makes it even funnier as someone who does not exist in that world and has real world issues to deal with. Um, these crazy kids in their lesbian harem romance animes. Uh, but yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. Ajisai is a sweetheart of a character, um, and I think it's really cute that she's like genuinely fallen in love with Renako and is like similar. I've made the comparison before, but like Masha and Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. Um, how Masha also like just fell in love with Masachika, from before the story even started, and is like clinging to those feelings, but also try to like put them in a box and lock them away for the benefit of all of her friends and loved ones. And in Masha's case, for Alia's sake. In Ajisai's case, it's more for like Maya and Renako's case. She doesn't want to like compromise the squad the squad relationship that they all have. I don't have any other notes, man. This just went by a lot faster than I thought it would. Um, I could read some Ruby on for the next 20 minutes, but I kind of want to do that in its own stream. That way, I can like actually get kind of far with each reading block. That was actually what I was going to do, and then I watched the new Don to Don episode. I was like, nope, I gotta spend a few minutes talking about this. Um, Thank you all for joining me again. Next live show will hopefully be a lot be significantly longer. Uh, I don't know though. I never know how long these things are gonna go. I never know how long I'm gonna spend on any given subject. I just kind of wing it, man. It's kind of the point of these live shows is just to make content. I will do some house cleaning though. The next podcast is a very long one. It's another reason why I want to make this really short because I want to do a lot of I want to finish that up tonight. I want to finish that up tonight. Have it uploaded at least by Friday. I'm probably gonna actually upload it for um, yeah, Friday because it's gonna have to render all night tonight. I'm gonna try finishing the editing tonight. That way I can have it render all night and then upload it tomorrow night so that it can premiere on Friday the Friday night or Friday afternoon. Um, it's long. We went way longer than I thought we were going to. Um, and I do also have to record the next podcast tomorrow night. It's probably also going to be long. It's another reason why I wanted this show to be short is because I gotta do some prep work for that. Uh, but yeah, thank you all for watching. That's really all I have right now. Join me next week, next Tuesday probably, when we talk about more stuff, and maybe this will be the week that I add something new to the rotation and have more thoughts rather than just kind of giving a rundown of the highlights from an episode of an anime that where not a whole lot is going on. Hasta la vista,